my name is Abby Roberts, Senior Director of Product Marketing with Datasite, and today I'm here with Itamar Kandel, CEO of HeartVista, to talk healthcare industry trends and best practices for the year ahead. Itamar, welcome.
Thank you, Abby. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, so HeartVista is an MRI automation company. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means and what it does?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So HeartVista is an AI and radiology company. We built a software product that takes control over the large MRI machines from GE Healthcare, Siemens, Philips, etc., and automate them from multiple clicks that needs to be done for a session, and could be up to 300 different clicks to a single click experience, meaning the patient goes into the machine, the technician situate them, click on the go, and then at that point the machine takes over and runs the exam from soup to nuts.
And HeartVista has been around for a while, so I'm really curious to hear from you. Just in the last year, obviously a lot's been happening in the industry overall and in your sector, in your company. So how, from your perspective, has COVID-19 reshaped the industry in the last year?
Sure. So the diagnostic imaging space has really created, like, all elective procedures really evaporated, and that means that a major drive of revenue for hospitals just evaporated almost overnight, and that created an incredible financial strain on the healthcare system. So beyond all the operational strains and just everything that hospitals are going through, they also lost a very large piece of their revenue. And that's obviously creating a lot of strain in the system, both for vendors, for patients, for doctors. Everything is strained because of that. And one of the trends that you're going to see is that automation tools in general are going to flourish, and actually they are flourishing, because if you can remove or reduce the human element and really allow hospitals to operate on a skeleton crew, and still get what they need for diagnostic purposes, then you will have the opportunity to transact with those hospitals. And for them, they'll have the ability to get what they need from the diagnostic tools without putting their patient at risk, without putting their technicians and doctors at risk. So that's one of the things that we're seeing. On top of that, if you have tools that are really relevant for emergency situation, somebody is rolling in through the doors with a life-threatening condition, then you will have a positive impact. So a good example could be Viz.ai, which is a company that does, they identify occlusions in large blood vessels. And their thing is like the door to needle. How long does it take from when the patient comes in to when a procedure starts to deal with a stroke? That is a tool that is doing really well, because they are covering both spaces. They create revenue for the hospitals because they have the ability to do these procedures, but B, they're also dealing with life-threatening condition without putting a lot of people at risk. So that's an interesting sub-segment of the market that is going to be doing well.
That's really fascinating. Thank you. And of course, as a CEO, you know very well that a big part of being successful in healthcare and life sciences is also just your ability to be a deal maker on the financial transaction side of things. And you just raised a Series A in April. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of transaction types do you expect to see more of in the year ahead, and why?
So I think there's going to be a lot of partnerships in this space, and there's a real sense of all hands on deck in the industry. It's good to, create companies, make money, and all that stuff, but we're dealing with something bigger, and the societal impact is obviously dramatic. So a lot of people, a lot of companies are obviously wanting to be successful financially and do well, but there's this sense of mission that we need to address this together. So I think partnerships is what will be coming out of it. We are seeing that already, even with the largest of the large companies, like we're working with, obviously, the large MRI manufacturers. They're working with us very closely. They're speeding up a lot of the processes, and we're bringing products to market right now that could have taken many, many more months to do. Another example is our work with the group from the Goethe Institute of Cardiovascular Imaging. So they're world-renowned researchers, and they came up with a study that showed some pretty dramatic post-COVID impact on the cardiac system. And we're working with those guys to really build products that will allow for the diagnosis of some of these crisis and damages to the heart, in a way that, both sides are bringing different pieces to the table, and we can put a product that is made from those two elements to market faster. So that's kind of like another example of partnership that we're seeing moving quickly.
That's really exciting. That's so exciting to hear about. So on kind of like the day-to-day logistical front, I'm kind of curious, how has remote working impacted the way you manage those kinds of transactions? What's good and what's not good?
Yeah, so depends on what transactions you mean. So on the financial side, obviously due diligence is much more complicated, right? So it's hard to get, like, for example, an investor to come into a hospital and see your product running and really get a feel to what is the patient experience, what is the doctor experience, what is your tool, how does it fit in the flow of the operation of the hospital. So due diligence is suffering. And also from the intangible side of the deal, of making this connection with the investor, of just building this trust. You're building a relationship that's going to span a long time, usually for the duration of the company. And if you can really meet face to face and like break bread and have this direct connection, it's just hard on Zoom and the other tools to do that. So that's going to be a challenge. So unless you're building on existing relationships that you already found partners on the other side, and you're just building on top of it, new deals completely from scratch is going to be hard to get through. I'm not saying they're not going to happen. Some stories are being told of like really accelerated due diligence processes, and people are moving fast. But on the majority of it, I think it's going to be a challenge. So that's one thing. On the other is, the hospital themselves. So if you think about a transaction from bringing a new tool to a hospital,
right?
Think about it, like training people, doing the sales pitch, doing the proof of concept. Just everything is more complex. If you don't have to be in the hospital, they don't want you there, and that's just going to slow things down for the industry.
Yeah, that has to be so complicated right now. I can't, because people are so overwhelmed. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So what can companies do now, kind of thinking through what you're saying? What can they do now to prepare themselves to get in that best position for a financial transaction? What would you advise?
So standard advice is just runway is critical, right? You don't want to raise money when you need it. It's the best time to raise when you don't need it and you have a strong position. That's doubly so during the pandemic, right? So if you are running out of money in 3 months and you're starting a process right now, it's going to be tough. You're going to see either you're not going to be able to close, or the valuation is not going to be where you want it to be. The equity dilution is going to be tougher on you. So do everything you can to generate runway or extend your runway. And that means think about it as the wartime CEO kind of mentality. Mm-hmm. So you need to preserve cash and be very ruthless about it. And that means both on the cost avoidance, so just slash expense that you don't need to have, but also on the revenue generation. Just find creative ways to get more money in, to hopefully in a non-dilutive way, to get more runway. And that could be You might have a group of technologies that no one else has access to. Like for us, we have top and cardiology over the. We could consider doing like a third party kind of like development for somebody that needs help and just extend our cash like this. It's not optimal because you want to focus on your mission, you want to focus on your product and not get diverted, but it's worth to run out of money. So if you're in a position and you have something that other people will pay money for and will extend your runway, then consider it.
Yeah. So keep the lights on above all else, it sounds like you're saying.
Yeah, you've got to have the runway, otherwise you're going to be hurting.
Oh. And then overall, I mean, you managed to raise a Series A right when COVID, I guess, was starting. But what are your top tips for managing processes in this environment?
Yeah, so we got lucky, and also we were smart in many ways. So we kind of like started the process late last year, and then when we saw that COVID is starting to accelerate, I just came to the existing investors and said, we don't want to be in a position where we will need money down the line, like in the end of the year. So I just need money right now. So let's speed up the process, help us, build the reserves to weather the storm, and they kind of like stepped up, right? So they believe in our mission, they know that what we're doing is important, and they helped us a lot and put money in, and now we're in a very lucky position of being with a runway that will last us through most of next year, if not all of next year. So the bottom line is, go to your biggest champions and just be frank and say, we don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to be in a position where you're raising money when I'm raising money when I need it. So now is the time to use those, dry powder and give us some to help us through this crisis. So that's one thing. Another one is, if you to a cause story in some way, you're having a minimal contribution fighting this pandemic. People will listen and people will want to help and fund your effort. But you've got to be very careful. You don't want to be predatory, right? So you don't want to be like taking advantage of this crisis and be cynical about it. If you have something real to do, then shout it from the rooftop, and you will probably do well. If you don't kind of like force it, because it's just going to be obvious, and you're not going to get people are not going to like it. So that's another thing. Tie yourself to COVID if you have something real to do, and if you don't, just find another way to move forward. And the last piece is patience, right? So everything is slowing down. All the systems are coming down. It's going to be hard. Healthcare is a fast-moving industry, so this is just going to be more of what we're used to. So be patient. Don't push people too hard. Understand that everybody is just stressed out, and give them time to get to you when they have the time.